The end of the year is the perfect time to think about our health and how we want to improve our health in the upcoming year. Now, I did a lot of that in the past year and I've gotten a lot of questions about it. So today I am sharing with you the uncomfortable truth of how I turned my own health journey around in the past year. Hello, and welcome to the FastForwardAmy show, the show where we lift your life and business with simple strategies. I'm FastForwardAmy, your host and coach, and I'll bring you a new episode every Tuesday. Happy New Year to you, and thanks for tuning in to the FastForwardAmy show. New Year is right around the corner, or maybe you're listening to this after New Year actually, but I know that this is the time of the year where we look at New Year's resolutions, and we are deep, usually very low, because we've just been eating a lot, we've been drinking a lot, and we are gearing up for the new year and thinking about, well, New Year's Eve party, but also about what is going to be coming up in the new year. Now, I know that I am personally a really big fan of New Year's resolutions, but you probably know that by now. I love goal setting and all of those things, but I have a few people in my environment who really hate New Year's resolutions. My three brothers are those people. I have three brothers, Timothy, Matthew, and Lawrence, and maybe it's changed over time, but they used to be like hating a lot on like motivational quotes and New Year's resolutions. And I know Matthew was always telling me like, if you need motivational quotes to get motivated, like it's not gonna happen. But you know what? Let's agree to disagree. I personally really love motivational quotes and mantras. And I also really love goal setting and creating new targets for myself. And that's kind of in my character. You might be different, but as you are listening to the FastForwardAmy show, I'm going to take you with me on my journey. And today we're going to be talking about health goals, health resolutions, and especially health habits. We're going to look at the habits you've set out or you've done in the past year and things you might want to focus more on in the upcoming year. And you might have already noticed that we are creating a success habits series. So we started 2 weeks ago with our first episode about money habits. Last week was about productivity habits. And next week, when we are also publishing the 111th episode of the FastForwardAmy show, namely our 2-year mark, we're going to be talking about business habits. Today, I want to talk to you about health habits. And this is episode 110. Holy wow, we got here. And if you want to read the different things I'm going to be talking about, the different steps I'm going to walk you through in this episode, you can read all about it through fastforwardamy.com/110. That is always the case. So if you just go to our website, you can find a tab that's like podcasts, and there we have blog articles of every episode. That also means if you're ever looking for something you ever heard on a podcast, you can just go there, type in the search bar the word you're looking for example, imposter syndrome. You'll find a bunch of articles and the links to the episodes that you're looking for. So last week we talked about time management and productivity habits, and I already discussed my 3-step method of kind of like improving whatever you're doing. And the 3-step method is the what went well, what could have gone better, what are you missing for future success method. And I'm going to go into that in a bit, but first, I basically want to talk about my own personal experience. So I generally like a really teaching approach, but lately I've been getting a lot of DMs in my Instagram inbox from people asking me, how did you turn it around? You've been focused on your health so much lately. How did you do it? How did you get over yourself? I'm a little bit in the same boat. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm really busy, and I can't seem to focus on my health. So I thought I just try to open up in this episode, which is usually uncomfortable. And also, you probably noticed, but I'm pre-recording this, so by the time this airs, I will already have taken another few steps, but I will just record some of these things about my health and my experience from the past couple of months, which was a really stressful time, but I still managed to prioritize my health, so I would love to share about that with you. Before I do that though, I didn't start focusing on my health by accident. In fact, I even recorded an episode when I started doing that. And that episode is my body or business episode, number 75. You can find that on the podcast as well. You can also find a video on that on YouTube or on my IGTV. So that's episode 75. Maybe listen to that after this. In that episode, I explain how I have used like data to track whatever I'm doing, what's working, what's not working, and see how I'm moving forward. And that's also something I'm going to talk you through today. So the question I am getting in my inbox is, how did you turn it around? I'm definitely not done turning it around, but I used to be a personal trainer. I became a personal trainer after actually always struggling with my health in high school. So I was sick a lot as a kid. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. So basically that ended up with me lying on the couch a lot and having a lot of like medication and pills and stuff, and being very like lying down all the time, which didn't really lead to me being the most fit teenager ever. I had a very low immune system. I was not strong. I always felt a little bit, well, back then, a little bit chubby, like not like my friends and not as fit as my friends, not as strong. So already as a teenager, I already struggled a lot with my body and what to do with it. Then I got bullied a lot. I moved to Italy, and when I moved to Italy, I started regaining my confidence and I started strength training. And strength training really changed a lot for me. I also started losing the excess weight that didn't feel good to me right back then. Started focusing on like more protein, more vegetables, all of that, and a lot changed. When I came back from Italy, I started university in Belgium, and it felt like I came back a different person. Then in my second year of university, I started building on my business, became a personal trainer so I could help other people out, blah, 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 blah. So much there. Long story short, I got really strong and it was really fun to feel so strong. Then over the years, I started switching in business more to business coaching, because that was in essence my true mission, is like to coach and to use business together. My two passions lie in coaching and business. And I quit university. I stopped being a personal trainer and moving around so much, like literally standing on my feet all day. And the weight just kept creeping up. Just going up. And a while back, like I also struggled with emotional eating, like so many things happened. And a while back, around that episode 75, I'd kind of had it, but I haven't been emotional eating in years. I got help for that. It's more that I had already also like gotten some intolerances, and then with high stress, everything started, like my belly just started bloating from whatever I was eating and doing. Like at a certain point it was like, oh, glass of water, bam, bloat. So I didn't know, is it rice, is it oatmeal, is it fruit? At a certain point I could almost eat nothing anymore. And I had tried different approaches, gone to specialists, and people started helping me. They did research, but nothing was really working. So the past couple of years I had kind of given up. And I had also, looking back on it, kind of gotten into a victim mindset. I got to this point a few months ago, although I have also been working with a personal trainer for years, and I've never stopped healthy eating. I've never stopped working out. It just felt like I was doing it just to do it, as if like playing not to lose, but I wasn't really playing to win. I also didn't believe I could win. I was just like almost accepting of my fate, like I'll never feel strong again, I'll never feel good again in my own skin. I'll just keep on adding the unhealthy weight, because currently online there's a lot of, obviously there's body positivity and there's so much around that, which I understand and I'm still learning a lot about. But for me, what's also happened is I discovered at a certain point, like I had insulin resistance and that I needed some more severe approaches to kind of like reset my body. And what had happened for me, basically the months leading up to that, is that looking online and looking at a lot of stuff, I started feeling like I wasn't allowed to lose the weight anymore, which is obviously not the point of any of those accounts, but I just started feeling really, really alone in how I was feeling. And I was like, well, but I am eating healthy and I am doing all of these things and it's not working, in poor me victim mindset. And basically, the question, how did you turn it around, is I turned it around by talking a lot about it with my best friend and realizing that although I was doing a lot of things really well for myself, I was also kind of lying to myself. I was lying to myself because there were also a lot of things I wasn't doing. There were a lot of things I wasn't taking care of myself well. I have not been sleeping well for a few years due to like noises and things that I'm extra sensitive to, not taking the supplements I needed for my muscle disease, which is why I've been such a light sleeper for the past couple of years. But if you sleep like interrupted all the time, that's like very bad for your hormones. You store a lot of fat, all of that stuff. I just started realizing, which is something people in my environment had said already, like, I am really sick of this. And I am also sick of not believing that there is change possible. So I got to this point where I really felt like No one is going to be able to help me. No one can help me because I've tried 10 different people to help me. I've tried so many different things. I've been so strict. Now I'm just intolerant to everything. And I was really at a point where I just did not believe that it could work anymore. But I don't know if you know how strong your mental self-talk is, but it is really strong. If you tell yourself all the time, I can't, guess what? You won't be able to. If you tell yourself, I can, you will be able to. There's literally something that shifts in your entire body, in your cells as you do that. That's why positivity and mantras and stuff isn't just woo-woo. It's actually like there is a science behind it. I don't know the details, but I just do know the difference that when I am working out and I have to do split squats and I really don't want to, and I say, I can't in my brain, I will give up. And when I say, I can do this, I can hold that plank for a minute. What we say to ourselves really matters. So on a micro level, you can look at it as that, like, okay, you're going to push through the plank. That's not what I want to say with this episode. I want to say is that how I turn it around is I started looking for my belief. I started looking for the belief that it was actually possible to become fit and strong again. And again, I am not talking about weight. I don't give a shit about weight. I'm not even talking about the way I look, the way I looked like in the mirror, or the clothes that did or didn't fit me. I just really wanted to go back to feeling really, really strong and believing in myself and trusting my body. And that's what I wanted to start working on. So I took ownership and I started owning up to my shit and the lies I had been telling myself, of the things I was eating that weren't good for me, of the amount of alcohol I was drinking, which is really funny because there's a glass of wine next to me here. Haven't drank from it, by the way. It's before noon as I'm recording this. And I really started owning up to my shit. And then I talked to actually the personal trainer who was already with me. And I told her, like, okay, I really want to change some stuff. And I am really serious about it now. And I started noticing that before that point, when I had had enough of it, I was doing training sessions with her, but I was just going through the movements. And now I'm doing training sessions where I am really doing it and like doing my best and like doing it for me instead of like having to do it. It's very hard for me to explain this. I'm also assuming a lot of people are going to think this is a shit episode, but whatever. I think it's interesting. It's difficult for me to open up about this shit because there is so much you can say that's going to come across wrong. I'm just talking about my experience. I started noticing if I did my own exercise, the 3-step approach to improving whatever and getting anything you want in your life is what went well. I was moving my body. I was trying. What could have gone better? Well, I could have been doing the right movements. I could have been eating the right nourishing food. I could have been drinking less alcohol. But one of the biggest things is I could have looked sooner at what works for me. Because remember that Body or Business episode number 75? In that episode, I said I'm going to track data for 3 months. And I'm going to look at what works and what doesn't. And after I had recorded that episode, I thought, you know what? I already have data. I have data from the past 10 years of my health. I have data on my weight, but especially my waist circumference. That is definitely like an indicator of your stress levels. I have data on my strength of what I was able to do and not, even on my sleep for certain periods of time. And I am someone who thrives on data and numbers. You might be totally the opposite, but I really like it. I use it a lot in my business as well. So I started looking at all of the data I could find from my past. And a few really interesting things popped up from that. And one thing was extremely interesting because in that entire time that I was really trying but not really getting more fit, I realized that although I was moving a lot, I wasn't strength training. So for example, when my personal trainer went on pregnancy leave, my weight, due to my stress levels, because I wasn't necessarily eating that much more, but my weight had like skyrocketed to like extraordinarily high levels in a really fast time. And I was like, well, but I'm swimming, I'm walking, all of that, but I wasn't strength training. And when I looked back at my workout records and the times when I was feeling strongest and really good, I saw that those were the times where I was lifting really heavy weights. Combined with the muscle disease I have, I started realizing like, oh, So that means if I only have 15 minutes in a day and I can choose to go for a walk or to do a quick circuit session with like high intensity training with some weights, I should choose the weights session. So I started doing that. I started doing that with my trainer as well. And I started realizing, okay, it's for my body with the diseases and the history I have, it's not enough to just move around. I need to strength train. Also, no shit, Sherlock. That's what I literally used to do as a personal trainer. Used to teach people. I actually already knew this. I also knew that it wasn't good to drink alcohol every day, but I might not have noticed how much of other people's habits I was absorbing. I also didn't notice how much I actually was snacking when there were snacks on the table, when there were people around me. And I can hear you thinking like, no, but that's not me. I'm not doing that. I'm doing everything perfectly. Well, that's kind of like when you're in business, when clients tell me, I'm not selling, but I swear to God, I'm doing everything perfectly. Usually, that's not true. There's probably just something missing. And it might mean that you just don't know what's missing. But for me, there were definitely key elements missing. Strength training is what was missing for me, going really heavy. So I bought a new squat rack, deadlift bar, all of those things. I hate squatting, but I'm learning to not hate it anymore. The reason I hate it is because I always feel like I'm not good at it. It's just typical high-performing person who wants to be good at everything she does. Another thing that was really missing in my diet was vegetables. I was eating vegetables, but a bare minimum, coming from being in a situation where other people around me didn't eat a lot of vegetables. I started eating a lot less vegetables too. And I didn't really notice until I started just adding a lot of vegetables to whatever I was eating. And I started noticing a huge difference. And then last week I had a little bit of an off week, less sleep and then less willpower and then more convenient options and ordering food. And then immediately I also see, eating less vegetables. And all of a sudden I start feeling more like bloated, less energy, all of that. So added strength training, added vegetables, reduced alcohol, added supplements. Those are some of the things I did. And I don't know if any of this is helpful to you, but sure, I've done some of those things throughout the past couple of years. I also started tracking my data. So I used to not be able to weigh myself without getting upset about it. But I've come to this point in my life where for me, it does work. I am the type of person who's not obsessing with it. I'm not sad if it goes up. I'm not extremely happy if it goes down. It's like my business numbers, the amount of sales I bring in don't determine my happiness level anymore. It took me a few years to get to that point, but right now I feel like it's good. I'm really monitoring my relationship with the scale as well. I definitely don't want to tell you weigh yourself. I think for 99.9% of people it doesn't work. For me, what works is just having data to know what's happening around me. And I'm already, as I'm saying this, afraid like, people are going to come at me and be like, you're obsessed. Honestly, I'm not. But I am obsessed with becoming the best version of myself, feeling like the best version of myself. And I'm going to be honest with you, I really needed some help to tune into my feelings again. And I think that's kind of what I did now. I'm thinking about it is I was so out of tune with my body. I thought I was doing one thing, but I might have been lying to myself a little bit. I thought my sleep was fine until I realized like, holy shit, this is what it's like to sleep for a full night without getting interrupted, because I just didn't realize that wasn't normal anymore. Same with the amounts of food, the types of food, the alcohol intake. I just didn't realize what was happening anymore. So realizing all of a sudden that I had added about 3,500 calories to my weekly intake without noticing it because of my environment, it only struck a chord later. Like, things I'm not doing is I'm not counting calories or any of that, but I am getting like measurements done every 2 weeks with my personal trainer. We are prioritizing strength training over everything else. I do make sure I move my body at least 5 days a week. Yeah. Feels like I changed a lot, and at the same time, I didn't change a lot, but the biggest thing I changed for myself was that belief and actually committing to being the best version of myself, but actually really allowing myself to want that. And I felt a lot of shame about that. I felt like I wasn't allowed to work on my body. I wasn't allowed to want to lose the stress weight. I'm almost afraid to say to want to lose the weight, but I just knew it really wasn't healthy for my body. I also started making decisions that where it felt like by making those decisions and changing things in my life, a lot of the heaviness fell off of my shoulders, and to be honest, the weight just started to drop off. It just started to melt as my stress went down, as I was very consistent with the strength training, as I've been very consistent with the vegetables and all of that. I immediately notice when I'm off track, but I also feel like my energy is a lot better, my brain fog is a lot less. And again, it's not like I was eating pizza all the time beforehand. I was eating gluten-free, lactose-free, and now sometimes I do eat gluten, I sometimes do eat lactose, and it's all going a lot better. So I know, what is the point of my stories? Track your data, be very objective about what you are doing and not doing for your health, and look at like, where do you want to go and what do you want to change in order to accomplish that, and what is it worth to you. I really want to be the most healthy version of myself. I also know it helps me in my job, but I really had to get out of my own victim mindset and take full ownership over my health for my future, and get out of the trauma that I had experienced in the past of like not getting the right amount of help, and deciding like, I'm going to look for the right kind of help until I find it, and I'm not going to give up on myself, because we so often don't give up on other people, but we so easily give up on ourselves. And I decided I was sick of giving up on myself. And maybe that's my wish for you too, for the upcoming year. No matter what it is you want to accomplish in the upcoming year, be it health goals, be it strength goals, be it something in your business, you never give up on other people, or almost never, hopefully. But why do you give up on yourself? I hope that this year, for the new year, your resolutions are about going all in on yourself, about committing to yourself and your own goals, and fuck what anyone else says about that. Like, screw your environment. They might support you, they might not support you in your business endeavors. Some people might get that I wanna be able to deadlift 110 kilos again like I used to, and some people might not get it. It doesn't matter. All it matters is that you know that what you want to accomplish is fine. It is fine to want to accomplish something if that is what you want. It is not good to do things you don't want to do, or to be forced into doing things, but if you feel very passionate about something, definitely go for that. I do want to add to that, if anything is going on with you that is not healthy, please look for professional help. I just heard myself saying things and I don't want to go there. Like, I feel like I need to add a disclaimer. But if you can do things without causing yourself any harm, but like going after your goals in a happy way, and you find the right support for that, why not? And for me right now, it means, yeah, I want to be a really strong woman, and I'm getting closer and closer to that every day. I think I already am strong, both mentally and physically, but I'm really enjoying reprioritizing my health. I had also done a mindset exercise about this that kind of shifted one of the first things, and I had realized that I had a lot of limiting beliefs about my health. I had built up this story for myself that if I would become fit and like not out of breath when I walk up the stairs or whatever, that would mean I would lose control over my business. So I had kind of created an either or scenario for myself. It was like, either I'm good personally or health-wise, or I'm good financially. And I had to really work through that to like realize like I can have it all, and one thing doesn't mean that the other thing is gonna go, and I can both be successful in business as well as take really good care of myself personally. Even more, those things are gonna reinforce each other if I allow them to. And of course, for me, I'm working with a personal trainer 4 days a week, which is a lot. I used to think people who did that were really crazy. But right now, I do have to say there's also a lot of shame that comes with that. So many people give me shit about that because it costs so much money. People in my environment don't get it. But for me, it's truly a linchpin, just like my sleep. Sleeping a lot, everything goes better in my life. My emotions, my being the boss, being a leader, my decisions, my creativity. Sleep, everything goes better. Working out with a personal trainer so that in that hour, I don't have to decide, but they decide for me. Sure, a lot of people don't get it, but when I tune in with myself, I know that is the type of help I need. And I think that's still something, especially in Belgium, that we are discouraged from doing. We're always discouraged from looking for help. It's the same with people wanting to join the Business Freedom Elevator. By the way, opening soon. Do not forget to register for the waitlist because we only have 100 pre-order spots. So go to FastForwardAmy.com/elevator or click the link in the description We're opening soon and it's going to be amazing. So make sure you're there. There's a €500 discount, by the way, for the first 100 people. What was I going to say? So asking for help is something that is so often still perceived as weak. And maybe I also felt weak about that, because why would I have had that much of a victim mindset otherwise? Why would I have been struggling so much to be like, hey, I really don't know what to do anymore. Please, someone help me. It's because I felt judged by others. I felt judged by myself mostly, because when we feel things from others, it's usually just us feeling it. And asking for help is not weak. It is not weird. Paying for help is not weak. It is not weird. It can be one of the most powerful things you do in your life. Be that looking for a business coach, looking for a therapist, looking for free help by calling a helpline, by Googling things. Start where you can. Start listening to podcasts about health or whatever. I don't know how, but breaking through that feeling of I am all alone and I am the victim here, and taking ownership, like, you know what? I can choose not to be alone and I can choose to call in help, I think is really, really powerful. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I don't know, Robin, is that what you wanted me to talk about? Yeah, okay. She's happy. I feel uncomfortable about this episode, but yeah. So new year, new you. I'm really happy with how I am evolving and taking better and better care of myself. I definitely lost track of a lot of that, despite also teaching it to people. Sometimes we are our own most difficult students. And I'm really proud of everything I've accomplished in my life, but I am especially proud of this past half year. Has been extremely difficult for me on a personal level, but I still managed to prioritize myself. And I did that with self-love and self-care. And I also think that one of those versions of self-love and self-care was my self-discipline. Sometimes you wonder, should I wake up or should I work out? I discovered that I needed the strength more than anything else for a while. And I'm happy I prioritized that, because now I can reap the benefits from it. Speaking of benefits and habits, if you are finishing up the year and you're working on becoming your own best self in the upcoming year, I have really great news for you, because I created a workbook that I'm personally using. It's my Success Habits workbook. It talks about your money, your health, your productivity, and your business results, and how you can make sure that you hit your big ass targets in the new year, something we discussed in last week's episode. And that will help you to really look at all the different habits that you need to achieve anything you want in the new year. So if you're interested in that, go to fastforwardamy.com/success habits. I've linked it up in the description as well. It's a workbook. You can print it out, work on it. It's a perfect time to do that. Well, you can do that year round, but I think right now is a really good time to look at how do you want to evolve in terms of money? What do you want to change with your health, with your productivity, with your goals? I know I love that end of the year time to do this. I hope you liked my open sharing about the way I feel right now. This is the type of episode that I feel like maybe in a few months I want to take it down. But this is me right now as of the time of recording, and I will always be growing, and I hope you will be growing and evolving too. And I hope in a few months I can come back and share some new insights about my health with you, and definitely keep on asking me questions about that through Instagram. If you like this episode, maybe leave a review on Apple Podcasts so we know if this is interesting to you. And yeah, Happy New Year. Thank you for listening to the Fast Forward Amy show, and talk to you in the new year when we celebrate our 2-year anniversary of the Fast Forward Amy show in episode 111 next week, where we're going to talk about achieving your big ass business results in the upcoming year. Bye.